Hey everybody, welcome back to Colony Drop, your favorite Gundam podcast. My name is Isaac.
And my name is Brian, and this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, from the anime to the movies to the music to the models to the clothes to the food. You name it, Isaac, we do it all.
Even games, Brian?
Even games sometimes. Even games.
Well, that's really interesting because I think we're going to talk about a game today.
That's correct. We just finished playing 2 rounds of Gundam Battle Operation 2, which is the game that you've all been yelling at us for about 2 years to play. So we finally broke down and played it since they released it on Steam recently. And we're here to, give everyone our thoughts, our review, our critique, our praise, our love. I think it'll be fun.
And to be clear, just to clarify something, we didn't base this review off just 2 games. Brian and I have played multiple games. I wouldn't say we've been playing this game, every chance we got, but we gave it our best shot. That sounds like already that we hate it.
We don't hate it. We
tried.
We did. Yeah.
We tried to love it, but it was just a mangy dog that walked in from the street, and we couldn't find the room in our hearts to love it.
I actually think it's a pretty good game, but there's a lot of things around the actual game that are very unenjoyable.
Okay, so Brian, when you were conceiving of how to review this game, were you basing this against like other games that were sort of FPS or third-person shooting games, or were you basing this solely off Evolution? I imagine, like me, you kind of had to base this a little bit off Evolution, which is the only other Gundam game that we've played like this.
Yes and no. I mean, Evolution is definitely the most recent Gundam game I've played, so that was the most freshest in my memory. It's as a direct comparison. Like, it's hard to not play this game if you've just played Gundam Evolution and notice how different it is right off the bat, right? It's very, very different. It's a third-person game, obviously. It's much, much slower, but I think that's intentional, Isaac. It's supposed to be more of an action game, more of a, I don't want to say simulator, but it's closer to a simulator than it is, a strict first-person shooter, I think, or a shooting game. Is that somewhat fair?
I wouldn't say first-person shooter, of course.
Right.
But like the third-person shooters that come to mind that I try to measure it against are far faster. Like Fortnite.
Yeah.
This is night and day,
Right.
But I will give it some credit and say that while I definitely didn't enjoy Evolution, neither did you, this game is definitely a step up. And there were times I did sort of enjoy the challenge of it.
Yeah, and I think, so to put it in perspective, Isaac, on the background of this game is it's an online, free-to-play, third-person action game released for PS4 originally in 2018 in Japan and then 2019 in the US, which is actually fairly rare that a Gundam game even gets released today in the West. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a sequel to the original Gundam Battle Operation from 2012, Isaac. And GBO2 here was ported to the PC. We've been playing on Steam in 2023. It was actually, funny enough, Isaac, it was tested for Steam in 2022, but it failed because of all the network issues, which we will get into.
Wow.
So they had to reschedule the testing a year later, so that's why it's out in 2023 instead of 2022. But like you mentioned, Fortnite, for example, right? So Fortnite came out in 2017,
really?
Which is actually very close to the original release date of this game, which is 2018. So that is actually a fairly good comparison. Obviously, one of them is massively popular, and GBO2 is somewhat popular, but nowhere near Fortnite status. Now, they're obviously very different games, right, Isaac? I mean, I would call Fortnite a party game. That's like
that's a good way to say
shooter,
it. Yeah.
A light shooter, and I mean LITE. I've watched Fortnite videos. I'll admit I've never played the game, but it doesn't seem like a serious game to me. It's for having fun.
I actually think there's a kind of a difficulty, so a bit of a learning curve to it. I can't say I enjoyed it a ton, but it's all right sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play that many other third-person shooter games, Isaac. I mean, I know a lot of people love like Gears of War, right? For example, how does this compare to Gears of War?
Gears of War is much more fun.
But Gears of War is more of like a cover shooter, right? This one, there's no cover in this game.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, theoretically, like the buildings, but
yeah,
the nature of your slow speed kind of means, well, Gears of War, like you could take cover by like sort of squatting, and like the game kind of the mechanics know that you're sort of attached to that wall, so you can kind of just hold your hand out and like only expose your gun. That does not exist at all in Battle Operation 2.
Yeah.
And you're just so ponderously slow that somebody can easily get behind you, just like you can easily get behind them, which happens frequently. I can't believe how many times we saw Mobile Suit Combat being so close. you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Even like the sniper.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think the slowness is on purpose, though. And I think we could debate if it's too slow.
Right, yeah.
But I think that's a conscious effort on their part to be like, hey, this is Mobile Suit Combat. It's supposed to be slow and sort of clunky. There's a lot of risk when you take an action in this game, right? If you shoot your gun, you're probably not going to shoot for a few more seconds. And if you're used to playing something much faster pace, it is a big adjustment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Boy, it left me wanting more, but I was glad that it was better than Evolution, which isn't like singing its praises. But I didn't fully get the feeling that I was a giant mech. Did you?
I don't think the giantness is there, but I think the heaviness is there. And so I give them credit for that.
Yeah.
I do think it might be a little too slow.
Okay.
I think there's a middle ground. I think maybe they could make it a little bit faster, and it would still be slower than most other games in this space. So to answer your original question, Isaac, of how did I think about this game, it was, what do I think about it as a game, and then what do I think about it as a Gundam game? And then what do I think about it relative to what we wanted from our imaginary Gundam field that costs $1 billion to make?
I like that. Let's check out those answers then. How did this compare as a Gundam game then?
As a Gundam game, I think it was much better than Evolution. I felt it definitely represented Gundam more. I felt like I was in Mobile Suit Combat a lot more than I felt that in Evolution. Evolution, I was just playing Overwatch.
Absolutely.
I was just playing a reskinned Overwatch. And I don't think we even talked about this, Isaac, but I don't remember if we mentioned this on our original video games episode where we went over all the Gundam video games. This is a big throwback. So if you're old like us, you might remember this. But Evolution reminded me a lot, Isaac, of the Gundam skin for StarCraft back in the day. Do you remember that?
The Gundam skin for... Oh, I think so.
Yeah, where you were clearly just playing StarCraft with Gundam skins. And I felt like that's what Evolution was. They made Overwatch and slapped some, Gundam models on it and put it out the door. But here, I felt like this is really a Gundam game. I mean, they have so many suits, and the combat, the controls are all designed to be what they feel is a fair representation of Mobile Suit Combat. You can debate whether the controls work well or not, or if it's too slow, but at least they tried to make a game that was for that, and they didn't just make a different game and call it Gundam.
That's a great way of putting it. Pretty much agree with all your points. I absolutely felt like I was playing a Gundam game. Better than Evolution. This game, though, was... it still left much to be desired for me, but I was glad to see so many more different mobile suits. I was glad to see the space option for combat. It was just an overall better experience, but I wish it was even more better.
Yeah, that's fair. I think as just a game without the Gundam component, I don't know that it would attract too many people. I think you're going to have to be a Gundam fan to want to play this game. Yeah,
because moving around, like, I felt like I was almost not in a mobile suit, but like in a space suit. Like I was a heavy spacesuit guy, like lumbering space marine almost at times. Sure, I had like buildings and roads and stuff, but it still wasn't really giving me the feeling that I was in an actual mobile suit. Maybe they can work on that. But yeah, the slowness is great. For anybody that thinks like slow mech combat is good, this is going to be your bread and butter.
They nailed the slowness. I really am curious to see how the game would feel if they sped it up by 50% or even 25%.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would still be noticeably slower than your average third-person or first-person shooter. And I feel like the same goal would be met of being slow, but I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see what it would feel like. Because there are times when like you get hit and you fall down, and you don't really regain control of your character for like 5 to 10 seconds, and that's a long time in a video game.
Right, while you're taking damage still, and oh god, the reloading, that's one of my worst gripes, just the ridiculous reloading times and the rate of fire times, because my background's not my background, but like first person shooters are much faster. So switching me to a third person, actually that's not even true, because there's third person shooters where the shooting is much faster, like Gears of War or Fortnite. Interesting. This is just slow shooting in general. That's my conclusion.
Yeah, and I think that's a conscious choice. And I think that's a fine conscious choice. I think maybe we both just feel like it's a little bit too slow. Because I think when you make that choice to be slow, I think you're actually making two choices. One, you're making a choice to emulate what you think Mobile Suit Combat is. But you also have to be careful that it's not too slow, that it doesn't disengage the player. And I feel like this might be a little bit too slow to where it's disengaging.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'm definitely disengaged. I don't think I'll uninstall this, but like I don't feel the urge to play it as much as I do other games. And that could just be a preference thing because as we all know, hey, not everybody plays racing games. Not everybody plays strategy games. Not everybody plays sports games. And we all have our different things that we like. But I just feel like the low player count combined with the lack of zest in the game itself kind of means that this won't be a frequent play for me.
I'm not sure how I feel because I think it would be fun to play regularly. I think the problem is you're going to have a dedicated group of friends to play with to make it really fun.
Okay.
Like you and I playing is fun, but we still don't have the full team, right? So everyone kind of goes off and does what they want. There's no voice chat, which I don't really understand. It's a squad team-based game, but there's no real good way to communicate. And I know they have the presets, but those have always been garbage in every game. I don't know why they're even included.
So nobody really uses those in games.
Well, someone tried in our last game. They said, "Oh, who will?" They use the preset for who will pilot a general's, the general suit. And I was like, "Dude!"
And they got no response.
And no one responded. Of course not. So maybe we should bring some sort of organization to this review. Let's talk about some of the gameplay, Isaac.
Sure. Well, there's space.
Yeah, there's ground and space, which is huge. I didn't think you could really fit both of those in one game of this size, but they did. That said, Isaac, there's a lot of tutorials in this game. I would say probably too many tutorials, but the thing is, Isaac, they're necessary, right? Because you're going to get your ass handed to you on the battlefield if you don't do all those tutorials.
Yeah, that happened to me. but I mean, the tutorials were such an annoyance because there's just so many tutorials, and I felt like you couldn't really leave the tutorial to actually go sortie and do the main stuff. It was too restricting. That's just a branch that connects to the tree of the poor UI of this game because, my God, it's maddening and frustrating how poorly designed this UI is, how ridiculous it is navigating around the menus and stuff using it on PC. I'm maybe somebody here has PlayStation and it just feels so intuitive, but for PC it's a train wreck.
It is, yeah. So the UI is clearly strictly ported over from PlayStation. I don't think they did any optimization or redesigns for PC, which I feel like is a huge mistake because I can't think of really. Yeah, I guess the whole UI is not. There's no ability to really click on anything, right? It's all keys up, left, right, down. There's there's no clicking, which the menu would be so much easier if you could just click things, but they didn't implement that at all. I mean, I guess I understand why they didn't really want to spend money on it. It is an older game at this point, so we are playing a 5-year-old game, Isaac. I guess we have to keep that in mind.
I guess, but it just still seems poorly designed. The options is V to get to Haro, so which is ridiculous, right? And then from there you have to like go to options to actually leave the game. It's just ridiculous. And then there's sortie.
That's one of my favorite parts. I think there's actually not a way to leave the game. You actually have to hit Alt F4, which I think is the general shortcut for like closing a window.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wrote that in one of the reviews on Steam, and he was just like, "I don't even understand. There's not even a way to get out of the game."
Man, yeah, it's.
But
oh boy.
I think, Isaac, the point of that is, yeah, okay, so what? They didn't do anything with the UI. That's a choice they made. But if you want people to play your game, it has to be playable. They have to be able to go play the game. And if they can't get there because of the UI, they can't even figure out what the hell to do. And then you make them go through, 15 tutorials to learn to play the game. There's a good chance that a modern person they're going to stop. And they're just not going to play your game.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. They don't have like the quick match, like most games have, really. You have to like run over as an avatar. You have an avatar in this game, by the way, which is wacky because you almost never see that person. So, yeah, you run around to sortie or battle simulator as the avatar. It's just a very dated way, I feel, of just doing things. Very Final Fantasy.
It does feel very mid-2000s to me.
Yeah.
If you had told me this game was from the mid-2000s, I would believe you.
You're right, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it feel that way. It's funny you mentioned the quick match, Isaac, because they do have a quick match option, but it's anything but quick, right? The one thing that's plaguing this game right now, if you go read the reviews on Steam, they are terrible. It is a overall score of mostly negative, and that's because almost everyone is complaining about the servers. There's no dedicated server for your game, so everyone's just connecting to everyone else. So if there's someone that has bad internet, they're going to lag out. Like the first match that we tried to play together, Isaac, the entire other team froze in the middle of space, right? And so we just killed them, and then the game ended.
They were frozen in terror, Brian.
Yes, from our our uncustomized like level 1 suits, they were just shaking in their boots. But that's another thing, Isaac. So if someone does manage to get through the UI to be able to figure out how to play the game, they take all the tutorials, and the first game they play, they lag out. And then, by the way, the game, I don't know if they're still doing it, but at least they were doing it when it first launched a few months ago. They were penalizing you for leaving a game, and if you lagged out, that counted as leaving the game. So not only did you lag out and not be able to play the game, but you got penalized for it. So that sucks. So that's just really making it hard for people to actually play the game. And then on top of that, there's just not that many people playing the game, it doesn't seem like. Or if there are, the matchmaking just takes so long, right? Isaac, for the 2 matches we just played, we waited at least 10 minutes every time to get into a game, right?
Yeah, it's shockingly slow for a modern game. I know they're doing it by ranks, although you can play unranked too, I think.
You can, but we just played ranked because you get a match quicker in the ranked area than you do the non-ranked. So just because we wanted to play the game, we played ranked instead of playing a custom match. Like we tried a custom match the first time, and it took us 20 minutes, right, to find a game?
Yeah, that's just ridiculously slow.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. If you only have an hour to play and you spend a third of it waiting to get into the game, no one's going to come back and play a lot of that. I think those are 3 really big things that are making it hard for really anyone to play or enjoy this game. That's outside of anything at all to really do with the game, right? Because we're not even talking about the actual game. That's just stuff around the game.
I'll give them some credit, though, and like somebody had some creative vision, though, because this is the whole little camp that this game is set in. You know, they're a private military company, which you kind of never hear of in their 1-year war. So there was a vision for this game. Where that changed somewhere along the line, maybe something happened. You know, I don't know where, but clearly there was a vision. They had a story they wanted to tell or something. And then at the end of the day, they're like, you know what? Let's just make this sort of matchmaking type of game where you can sortie and get upgrades. And, you know, maybe if you want to just fight the computer, you can do like the devils in the desert or do a boss battle. And we'll throw it together. We'll do third-person perspective. So you see the whole mobile suit. We'll try to get the scale right and give the illusion that it's a big suit. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
To your knowledge, are they releasing updates for this game? Like, you know, every few months new suits come out?
Oh, yeah. When we joined, the high new just came out.
Okay.
So good thing you bring that up. So this is a free-to-play game, listeners. So if you've never played this game, it is a gacha. So to me, this is another negative to the game. I really don't like gachas. I've played a few before. I played one really, really heavily for many, many years, which is Fire Emblem Heroes. And I think gachas are okay if you start when the game starts. But if you start playing a gacha game years after, like we just did, right? We just started playing this game 5 years after it came out. It is very overwhelming because they continually add multiple currencies as time goes on to like monetize the game more, or to like, because a gacha game generally adds content as you go, and as they do that, they need to sort of give you more currencies after a while to sort of make the game continue to go. So there are too many currencies in this game if you're a new player. After playing it for like 2 weeks on and off, I understand all the currencies now, but man, when you first start on the game, you're just blindsided by all these splash pages of like, click here, do this, blah, blah, blah. And then there's all these symbols, and you're just like, I don't know what the hell. Can I just like play as a Gundam and like shoot a Zaku?
They're pop-ups.
There's like 13 like little layers to the pop-up you got to go through about this event, and this event is boosted and it's half off, and token this, that. There's just too many currencies. I hate that about gachas. I think that's a personal preference, but I think that's probably a fairly popular opinion. I think this is mainly a problem when you join later on, and I think that's exactly what we did. So I kind of knew that was going to be a problem going in, and man, it was a problem going in. And I don't even think this game has that many currencies for a gacha, but I still found it overwhelming, at least in terms of exactly what we were talking about before, Isaac, of the what do I do right away? If I have to go through the UI, that's terrible. I have to go through all the tutorials. I don't know what the hell any of the currencies do, and I can't even sortie in under 10 minutes. That's a hard thing to sell.
That's, again, where part of the poor design kind of comes in. I'd be very surprised if any listener now can comment and say, oh, this game's a home run. You know, this game's my favorite game. I boot it up all the time. It's incredible. Maybe you enjoy it here and there, but do you really enjoy this game, like, to the point that you'd want to play it every day? I don't think so.
I think if you had a lot of friends and you all played every day and you knew what you were doing, I think it could be pretty fun, and you had all the suits and stuff. But like right now, for a new player, I'll tell you, it's pretty. I think there's a lot of good things in this game, and I know we've only been a little negative so far, but I'm gonna get to the good stuff. But like when I logged on, Isaac, I had no idea what suit to buy, right?
Yeah.
And the game gives you some, but like it gives you the gym trainer? Like that thing, come on. No one wants to play as the gym trainer.
Yeah, it's just going beyond like the suits themselves and stuff though. It's like I feel like the mechanics are just too slow. The cooldown rate, you switch between weapons, the awkwardness of, well, sometimes you get knocked down and you still take damage, then you slowly stand up and then you're still taking damage. And you better hope your teammate's nearby and the other guy's just not done reloading and then he's going to hit you with it again.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't feel like the mechanics of the actual gameplay are polished enough.
I think it's just a high learning curve. The trouble is there are a lot of people who are playing on new accounts. So there is a chance that people who you're playing with that are, even though they're the same rank, they're not really the same rank. They obviously had a different account before. It's usually called smurfing. So there are a lot of smurfs. One thing I noticed, Isaac, is I don't know, like for example, in the game we just played, I always feel like everyone else's weapon is bigger and better than mine. Like I slashed this guy and like it did, a little bit of damage to him, and then he just like took out his thing, and one of his friends came over and they got bigger axes than I do, and they did way more damage when they hit me, and then I died. And I was like, well, I slashed you first, man. Like you should be dead.
They had like beam naginatas or something.
Yeah. All the Efreets and their huge beam swords or whatever they are, big axes.
Yeah.
So to your point, I think the gameplay is different. I think it is a high learning curve. There's a high learning curve to this game for sure. I think the mobile suit selection is bonkers, Isaac. There's just so many mobile suits. Perhaps too many. But do you think there's too many?
No.
No? Because like, the only reason I say that is at the rate this is going, I will never be able to try them all adequately unless I spend 2 years playing this game.
Yeah. Well, how many mobile suits are there?
I don't know. There's tons. I would say at least 100.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. Would I say that's too many? I don't know, because like I know the gym fan would only get like the gym ones, right? So like that leaves a lot of them off the table if you think about it. Like me just getting the mono eyes, that's fine because there's fewer than the 100 for me to focus on.
I'm reading here that there are over 350 available.
Well, it's like Pokemon.
It is a lot. And like, but how do you know which one to spend your resources on?
That's part of the fun. You got to catch them all.
Well, once you spend all your DP, which by the way, you acquire a currency called DP from this sultry-looking base woman named Katarina Wenders. Isaac was just taken aback at her her like non-uniform code appearance. Isaac,
let's just say she dresses very casually.
Yeah.
Let's just say she likes people to see the twins.
It's just it's a very comical sight given that everyone has to gather around this scantily clad woman.
Everyone's in military uniforms too.
Yeah, everyone. It's all these males and then just this one girl. But
she's the only one that's overheating.
There's a lot of good stuff in the gameplay though. I like the countering mechanic, Isaac, but that countering is quick. You have to like press, I think for most people it's probably E right before you think someone's going to do something, then you'll catch them and like whatever. It's really cool when it happens, but man, that window is, I just kicked that guy in the last game we played. That was cool. But it's not even like I was really trying to do that. I was actually trying to, charge him or tackle him, I guess they call it. So that's kind of neat. I do like, Isaac, that as you die, the respawn timer increases. That's kind of good. It's a little bit punishing. This is something I really like about the game, but they don't explain it very well, in my opinion, because I had to find this on Reddit, which is the cost system. And this is sort of what I wanted in Gundamfield, but not exactly, and let me explain why. So this is, every mobile suit in this game has a cost. I think it goes from 100 to 700 right now. Maybe it'll go beyond 700 one day. But basically the really good suits, are going to be 700 cost. So like, for example, High New just came out. That's a 700 cost mobile suit. I think the unicorns are probably up there as well. I don't know what their cost. I don't have a unicorn. You got to get lucky to get that suit. And then your gym trainer is like a 100. And you can kind of upgrade your suits to have higher costs. So like a level 2 gym trainer will be 150 cost instead of 100, and you can level it up I think to level 4 or level 5. But the way they do the rank matches and stuff, Isaac, is they have, okay, this is a 300 cost match, so you can only bring in suits that are cost 300. And I think that's a good way to segregate out the playstyle. But I don't feel like they explain that very much in the game, or if they did, I must have missed it, because I don't remember them doing that at all. And I just remember being very confused about like which one. They all have different costs. Should I buy the level PS4 version of this suit, but then I find out I can't really use it, and I spent all the resources on it. So that's a little frustrating. But I did find this post on Reddit by a guy named Hadouken, which is a great name. He's got like 15 O's in his name, where he describes the different costs as different styles of play. So he says from cost 100 to 300 is a tactical squad-based play. It's slower. From 350 to 550, it's a stun lock game with combo-based play with normal speed action. From 600 to 700, it's just whatever the best suit is wins. He said there's a stupid list of skills and weapons matched against each other. It's very high speed. So obviously we don't have any of those like really good suits. So maybe we were just not playing in the high speed arena. Like maybe that's our problem, Isaac. We should have been piloting High-Nu and Nightingale. But, we don't have any, right? That's the current banner right now as we're talking High-Nu and Nightingale.
Yeah, I guess. But so that clearly appeals to a certain type of gamer. And I respect that. There's people like that. Based on what you just read, though, that clearly means this isn't the game for me. Because the standard in like Counter-Strike and in Battlefield is you're really the same as everybody else. The only real difference is how good are you with a particular weapon.
Yep.
So it's almost the opposite here, where like, well, you'll never be the same as everybody else, because from the get-go, people are choosing completely different mobile suits that have very different features and skills and ways of moving and speeds, agility, defenses. So even if the weapons were all equal, there's no way someone would be able to take as much damage as another person or move as quickly, etc.
Yeah, it sounds like that's how it is in the higher tiers. So someone will have to tell us if that's true. You hit on a good point there, Isaac, which is something I wrote down. So this goes back to my original point of like, how close is this to the Gundamfield that I imagined? And given the fact that this exists at all, it's actually fairly close. I would give it a 7 out of 10 in terms of what we asked for in Gundamfield, because there's a lot of it's there. Just maybe it's a little slow and all this stuff. But the idea is there. But what you just said about Counter-Strike is also something that I enjoy. Counter-Strike is an even playing field. To Isaac's point, it's about skill. Here you don't have that because if you didn't buy all the custom parts, you're not going to do as well. If you don't have the better suits, you're not going to do as well. Isaac, listeners, decided to take the hard route and not buy any custom parts.
Until our last game.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the purest experience, Brian, because that's what a cadet would go through if this was like their first battle. They wouldn't be given a customized ace mobile suit. They'd just be thrown out there with the rest of the rookies and told what to do.
Yeah, he was playing the Amuro at Side 7 mode, just falling in and seeing where it takes him. But if you think about it, Isaac, everyone you're playing probably upgraded the hell out of their suit, and they really know what they're doing. And then you've got us, who we bought some custom parts, but I don't have enough to like buy all of them, and I don't really know what I'm doing. They're just beating the pants off us. So I don't think I envisioned that for Gundamfield. I mean, we obviously didn't envision Gundamfield as a gacha, as a free-to-play, right, Isaac? I mean, that's why the mobile suit selection in this game is so huge, because they can just keep releasing more and generating more revenue. Right? They're saying, oh, look, here's a new one. Pull on the banner, or whatever they call it in this game. Spend money and you can get the new suit. So I get it. That's how the game works. That's how they make money. That's life. But I think to your point, Isaac, I would prefer a paid version of this game that just has standard suits. Everyone can still have access to all the custom parts, and maybe you want to customize it. But I feel like everyone should have access to that at the same time, rather than... Because if you think about it, people who've been playing longer, they're still playing against us, but they have all the cool stuff, and they're just beating up on us. And so I just have to sit there and grind it out. I mean, this is a very grindy game, Isaac. If you wanted to get all the upgrades, it's going to take you forever. And you're going to lose a lot until you get some of the good stuff. So I was envisioning a more like, if they had a paid version of this game where everything was accessible, but it was limited. It was only like, this version of the game is 0079 to 0083, the 1 year war plus era. And then you could have another game that's the Grips War and the Neo Zeon era of 0084 to 0088, or 0084 all the way through Charge Counterattack. And then you got a Unicorn through... Hathaway's Flash or something like that. That's kind of what I would want, Isaac. I don't really like gachas. I just don't think it's that enjoyable. So that's kind of my thought on that. How close do you think this is to your Gundamfield?
Pretty far. The ones kind of, especially in the scale. That's one of my main gripes. The scale. I can understand why they wanted to keep it small, 5-on-5, but that's not really Gundam. Gundam has very large battles between mobile suits. It also has small ones, but this is solely small. 6-on-6, 5-on-5, whatever. So that's my biggest gripe. My other gripe would be the actual experience of it. I feel like Gundam would lend itself way more to allowing you to go between third person and first person in the cockpit. But this doesn't do that at all. You're just stuck in third person, which, sure, you get kind of the illusion of being in a mobile suit and the slowness of it, the plodding movement. But yeah, for me, the whole mobile suit experience is not even allowing first person is pretty wrong. And that's something that my vision of Gundamfield absolutely had.
Yeah, about the scale, I think that's basically because of the server thing. Right? If this is a peer game, they can't have 100 people connecting to each other. It just won't work. My understanding, and I don't know if this is true, but there's a lot of talk on this online. If you go read all the people complaining about the servers, is internet in Japan is really good, so they don't have a bad internet problem over there.
Oh, okay.
But the rest of the world is so. Maybe it's just America. We have terrible internet. I don't know. But over there, the peer based games, no problem, because everyone has good internet.
Well, they must have so many people playing this game anyways, like this must be like their Battlefront or something, their Star Wars, whatever the game is now, the Old Republic.
Yeah, I mean, they have a bigger install base there, right? Because everyone loves Gundam there, so, or it's at least more widely known than it is over here. But so yeah, I think I agree with the scale. I think it would be cooler to have a bunch. Man, just thinking about like the game we just played, Isaac, and if there was 100 people in that game, that would be mass chaos. But it'd be fun. You could recreate Odessa or something. I mean, all the things we talked about.
Yeah, true. But man, oh boy, I'm glad it exists, and I did have fun at times, but it left me wanting more. That's how I would ultimately take away from this game. I'm definitely glad it wasn't Evolution, but I'm not even sure how I'd feel if I had a group of friends that all liked Gundam, and we all hopped on.
Envision it though, Isaac, if you had a group of friends that played it, but you also started from the beginning. Because right now you're jumping into the game and everyone knows what they're doing. You got people that they were playing on PlayStation for years and they came over to the PC version. They know exactly what to do. You're at a big disadvantage right now. But if you had friends, if this was out when you were in high school, Isaac, and we had 3, 4, or 5 people we could play this with, we would have had a blast. But you'd have to play a lot.
I would have to reserve judgment until I was like better, playing the game, or if I even had a DOM,
Yeah.
And I was able to like really enjoy like the weapons and stuff. I really wish that, I don't know, the weapons could be customized from the get-go, because there was just so much variety for the average, mobile suit that was fighting in the 1-year war. To just keep it so stock it just feels so limiting. It feels like Evolution at times.
What were some of your favorite suits, Isaac?
Surprisingly, I was using a Guncannon.
Oh, the mass production type.
Something like that, I think, yeah, and it had beams. So that was amazing because they were so accurate and powerful. I could kind of kite a Zaku. What else? I didn't have much luck with the Gundams. I didn't really care for playing them. The Zaku I was pretty okay at. The Pezun Dawich.
Oh yeah.
That one I was pretty good at, I thought. That's about it. Yeah, I did horrible at close combat. I took a Gouf out into combat, and God, it was just such a train wreck. Well, they danced around me.
What was your favorite style of play? So in this game, listeners, if you haven't played the game, they separate the suits into 3 categories. There's general, which is kind of like they do a little bit of everything good. Close range, long range, medium range. They have raid, which is close range support, basically a melee specialist. And then support, which is sort of long range. If you were to continue to play this game, Isaac, do you know which role you would try to focus on?
Well, I thought originally that I'd kind of do my Battlefield method and be good at long range. So I got really excited when I got this Gyaradoga that had a long range cannon, but it was useless and I was terrible at it. And I died quickly to a Hyakushiki that could close the distance and just chop me up with a beam saber. And then I was like, okay, well, that's the way to go. This guy's showing me. So let me get in a Gouf and get up close and personal. But no, I was useless with the beam saber and the heat rod. It was terrible. Not the beam saber. What did I use? The heat saber.
Yeah, the heat rod or whatever.
Machete. The machete that the Goufs are allowed to use. So then after that, I was like, well, I guess I'm clearly meant for the medium range. So I kind of resigned myself to that range.
Got it.
But I mean, so many suits seem to have a bazooka, which kind of works in medium and kind of long if you can time your shot right. So there is some flexibility, but overall I'd say medium. Yeah, medium seems to have the best balance.
Got it. Yeah, I started playing support a lot because I had the Guncannon and I was doing okay with that. But I finally got one that I liked, Isaac, which was the Gouf Custom. And a lot of people said the Gouf Custom's not very good, but apparently there's been a patch recently. And the Gouf Custom is a raid suit, so there was just something satisfying about melee attacking people with the Gouf Custom. I don't know. I did really well with that suit, and I wish I could play with it more. So I think if I was going to continue to play this game, I would definitely focus on raid, because it's pretty cool chopping other suits up, Isaac. I think that's my preferred way to destroy enemy mobile suits in this game.
I was about to say, to the extent you could sneak around, but then I realized many a time I'd been like, someone came up behind me or beside me, right? And then just started attacking me. So in the chaos of battle, yeah, you can, even in a small 5x5 match, you can be ambushed.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's hard to keep track of people, and even if you do see them, it's not like you can like sprint away,
right,
you know, at the speed of light. You know, sometimes you're just caught.
To your point, if you see them, if you notice them behind you or to the side of you, it's already too late. You can't even turn around fast enough to engage them.
Yeah, I almost wish the melee combat would change, not like into Dynasty Warriors mode or anything like that, but just quicker. You know, like you should be able to take out your heat saber and do sort of combo moves, maybe, but that didn't really happen here.
Yeah, our highest cost we played was probably like 550, 500 or so. In that 200 to 500 range, I feel like it's a little slow, and maybe we just don't have all the right upgrades and stuff. But if that's the case and all the upgrades are required, then I would argue that they should be part of the default equipment instead of having to play for X amount of years or whatever to get what you need.
Yeah, that's too much to ask.
Yeah, and then to your point, Isaac, I think what also makes it feel a little slow is not only just the actual slowness, but like if I slice someone in the chest with a heat hawk, I kind of expect them to die. Or like if I slash them with a beam saber, I kind of expect that to be it. I hate to like always just bring up Counter-Strike, but like that's kind of what I like about Counter-Strike is you don't really survive many engagements. If you survive one engagement, you're going to die in the next one for the most part.
Let me ask you this, Brian. Would you want that to apply to other types of weapons like bazooka to the chest?
I would.
Beam sniper to the
Absolutely,
face?
I would. And the reason why is because if I nail someone in the chest, they take, a third of their health max. It's usually even less than that. But now I got to reload my bazooka for the next 6 seconds.
Right.
Like the dude already ran away.
Ridiculous.
What? I just shot this guy in the chest. He should be dead. And someone might say, well, that makes the rounds too short. And I think that's okay. You just restart the round.
Yeah, you Counter-Strike it.
Yeah, you just have 5-on-5, but you end the round when everyone's dead, and then you start again.
Brian, it sounds like you don't want Gundamfield. You want Gundam-Strike.
I think maybe I want the scale of Gundamfield, but with the mechanics of Gundam-Strike.
That'd be pretty awesome. I like it.
I will give this game credit because it doesn't have healing, and I hate healing in shooting games.
Yeah, Evolution had that, I think, right?
In Spades, you could just go sit by the damn health box and refill your health. I blame Halo for this, Isaac.
The health box, a standard in every Gundam series.
Ah, there we go. My health is all better. It repaired the giant hole in my mobile suit.
Thank you, Yellow Orb. Something, though, I have to really applaud this game for is having the boss mode, where currently you're fighting the Elmeth. Oh, yeah. But I thought that was just pure brilliance because I enjoy me a good co-op experience. It's a big change of pace, and fighting something big and angry is pretty fun. So more like that would be awesome. I'd like to fight the Valvaro, the Neue Zeal, whatever they can throw at us. Rafflesia, who knows? I think it'd be really cool to go through experiences like that. I think that with your friends would absolutely be fun compared to the regular game.
Even the other one, not the Elmeth, but the Devil in the Desert or something like that. That's fun. I enjoyed that one. Yeah,
me too. Those were pretty competent computers.
And you don't even need to wait 15 minutes to play that to get into the game. You can just go play that one. That's why we played it 3 times.
No, and it felt much the same because, it's not like the enemy is communicating with us anyways. For all I could tell, they were human.
Right. Yeah.
They were that competent. Also, the game's slow enough, and it didn't seem buggy enough that there was anything that would give away who was a computer and who wasn't,
Isaac, I had one thought, because the other day you had asked me if there were any suits in it post Unicorn, I think. You were like, oh, is like Crossbone in there or whatever? And they're not in there, right? I think the furthest it goes up is Unicorn. I could be wrong about that. There is a Gustav Karl in there, although Gustav Karls were in Unicorn, so that's not unique, Hathaway's Flash. But I don't think the Hathaway's units are in there. But I don't think they'll ever go past Hathaway's Flash, Isaac, because this is a very accurate game, right? The older suits are not as good as the newer suits, and that's due to the cost system. I don't think they'll ever put anything post F90, or beyond in the game. Or if they do, it'll have to be its own separate cost category. Cost 800 or 900 because they're so much smaller, Isaac. They're miniature mobile suits. You know how hard it would be to hit all those guys?
That's a great point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, the scale's gone.
Right. You could add them, but you'd have to add them in their own pool.
Okay, that's a good point.
And my analogy for this, Isaac, is if you ever I'm gonna really date myself now, but there was a great shooter once upon a time called GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, and if someone picked, say, the Crossbone X1, and you were playing in a Zeta Gundam, it would be like playing GoldenEye with your one friend who insisted that he or she was really good at the game, but they only wanted to play as Oddjob, because Oddjob, for those who don't know, is a James Bond character. He's very short. And his character in the game was short. And so if you're short, guess what? Your hitbox is shorter. So it would be like having Oddjob from GoldenEye in GBO2 if they put the miniature mobile suits in there.
Yeah, except they're faster, and on occasion the weaponry can be even better,
Oh, absolutely. That's
a good point. I didn't even think of that. But I guess the workaround to that would be you have to use that generation suit. So everybody's in a miniature mobile suit at that point,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'd have to be a different game mode, or they just say, okay, well, all these suits are costs 800 or 900, and just segregate it off that way. So I think it could work. I don't think it'd be fair, right? If you're using your high mobility Zaku and they're out there skirting around in the Victory 2. But kudos to you if you can kill the Victory 2 with the Zaku. So
that would be incredible, especially when it opens up the wings.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
You should be rewarded with like the Neo Zeong at that point.
I wonder if that's ever been we'll have to go look at the different bosses events. Yeah, because that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, well, how would you defeat the Neo Zeong?
I don't know. You need some serious weaponry from that.
We need Benager.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, you do.
So
you need to appeal to love and kindness.
Oh, it is. Where's Minerva? She can tell us about humanity and compassion.
Isaac, something I was wondering, even though this game isn't everything I wanted it to be, I still think it's a pretty good game for what it is. It's also very old. So actually playing this game, the biggest thing I'm taking away is that it makes me hopeful for the next sequel. There was 6 years between the original, 2012 2018. Well, it's already 2023, Isaac. We're already 5 years out. They have to be planning a third one. I think a more modern sequel of this game, maybe for PS5 or even just native to PC, would be way cooler. And I think that would actually be closer to Gundamfield.
Yeah, hopefully. It's just that I'm not sure I want the next game to be Battle Operation 3 so much as another fresh game, perhaps, from a different company that takes us closer to Gundamfield or Gundam-Strike. So I'm open to it if they completely change it. I have no idea even how much different this is than Operation 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
If it is a big departure, then I'd say good. Full steam ahead to number 3. Let's see how different it can be.
Yeah, I think a fresh start would be good in terms of both. The graphics aren't bad in this game, but they're not like good either, I guess, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know how you would describe the graphics, but I'd say they're average, they're passable. And I think that's fine. I don't think anyone's playing this game for the graphics, right? This is you want to play Gundam, and it's free. That's a positive, right? This game is free.
Yeah, I mean... They had me at free. The only thing is that the learning curve, the upgrade curve, and the whole, changing into mobile suits, and then one's been deployed, so you can't use it. You have to wait.
Right.
It leaves much to be desired in terms of the quickness, I think, that's come to define our modern life and how we want to play games. I just want to just jump in and play.
Yeah, I mean, they could replace the entire base with just a better UI, right? And you could even have the characters there, Isaac. You could just show them on the side as you click the different options. I don't think the walking between things is necessary.
Yeah, that was just such a bizarre choice that makes me think they originally wanted this to be some type of unique campaign experience.
Could be, yeah. Maybe they were building out the campaign more. Like maybe there was more of those boss things. Maybe there was a full-fledged, co-op or single-player sort of campaign, to your point.
Yeah, but I guess we'll never see it. Maybe it's really interesting. Maybe like oh God, I just wrote it in my head. You'd battle across the 1 year war. The actual setting would change. The base would look the same, but sometimes you're in the desert. Sometimes you're in space. Sometimes you're in, wherever, jungle, whatever. That would keep changing. But yeah, I guess we'll never know what the original vision was and why they decided to cram in that bizarre Final Fantasy experience where you have to like running around the bridge of your ship in Final Fantasy and, talk to Sid and get the update. It's just ridiculous.
Isaac hates running for no reason.
Yeah.
In case you can't tell.
If you ever see me in person, I don't look like I do a lot of running.
So Isaac, I know we're harping on like it's how it's hard to actually play this game, but I found something that really indicates why that's true. So Steam, it shows you achievements, and you get an achievement for ranking up to rank D. You start the game at rank D minus, which really like doesn't make you feel good about yourself, Isaac. You know, like if you're starting at a D minus, I mean that's a little harsh. But there's an achievement for ranking up to rank D. Okay, and this game has been out on PC for about 4 or 5 months now, I think. I think it came out in May. And it'll tell you how many other people have achieved that achievement. Only 22% of the player base rank up from rank D minus to rank D. That's abysmal.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, again, this comes down to the learning curve. It's not a friendly, approachable game.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone who even loves the gameplay, which the gameplay is actually, I think it's pretty good. It's slow and there's a high learning curve and it's not user-friendly. But I think anyone who loves the gameplay would have to admit that it's not, to your point, an approachable game. It's hard.
No, and I feel like that works against it the most. If this was like the Gundamfield or Gundam-Strike we envisioned, maybe this is just an American perspective, but I feel like those would be far easier to jump into, play, and jump out as you needed. Right now, there's just way too much customization and planning and that kind of fluff added on, which is great, but all this customization and stuff that you do, I could tell almost no difference between my regular suit and then when I added the custom parts to it. I couldn't tell a difference in performance and cooldown. I still died as quickly, so I'm not really sure what the difference per se is, other than just getting the feel that I'm actually doing something to the internals, which isn't done at all, as opposed to if you were, say, swapping out a customized looking arm. Okay, in that case, it looks completely different. Painting your Gundam. Oh, now we're getting into personalization. Putting your custom seal on it. You know, these are great concepts that just aren't here in this game.
I think you can actually do customization in here, but the resources you have to expend are quite a bit.
I think Armored Core does it much better, which if you ever play it, and I haven't really played it, but I've seen it. You know, you absolutely swap in a different chassis for your torso, a different head with different sensors, different types of arms, different type of reactor. You go nuts with customization. You can absolutely customize how it's painted, you know, the shades of painting and all that, the patterns of it. That's a much more wholly encompassing mech experience, which I think if you added that to Gundam, it would be just the talk of the town for the fan base.
Yep, that's fair. So, Isaac, before we give our final thoughts, I found a few good reviews on Steam that I wanted to read a few excerpts of because I feel like they capture a lot of what I was thinking. This first one is from Destructicons on Steam. He rated it not recommended. He's played this game for 224 hours.
Interesting.
He definitely has played it enough to have an opinion. But he says, kind of pains me not to recommend this. Love this game truly, but as so many have already said, the issues are there and the dev team just refuses to fix them. He actually brings up that cheating is pretty easy due to the P2P networking and the game only using EAC with little to no sanity checks of its own. And there's a pretty huge learning gap you got to put up with thanks to the tutorial receiving practically no updates since launch. Their paid campaign on PS4 and PS5 has a better tutorial than what they make you do here, and quite a lot of it can be lost upon you fairly easily if you're not willing to sit there for an hour or so doing all the beginner and intermediate tutorial missions in one shot. And this is where I think it hit home for me, Isaac. He said, you have to love this game quite a bit or have a friend that plays it to get into it at a rate that you become decent at it. I thought that's pretty accurate, Isaac. Like, if you and I dedicated ourselves to this game, we could be very good.
Yeah.
But it's not that enjoyable off the bat. And I think you need it to be enjoyable off the bat for people to come back.
I absolutely agree. And I say that sort of disappointed because I was really hoping this game would be, you know, live up to what everybody told me it'd be, and I'd be very excited to play it. And I was excited to log in, but that quickly nosedived based on just tutorial hell. And then after that was, menu hell, and then navigating the base hell until finally trying to get into a mobile suit, and I play it, and I'm trapped in third person mode. I don't fully feel like I'm in a mobile suit. I feel like I'm in a person wearing a mobile suit armor. And it's just disappointing what could have been, you know.
So the second review I wanted to call is from a guy named Feet Worshipper, which I heard you can make a lot of money doing that these days, Isaac, but
of course.
He leads it off and says, honestly, an utterly horrible disgrace of a game. They should have renamed it to Latency Simulator 2. He said something here that I thought was really interesting, and I definitely agree with. To get in a match, even considering the player base of being small and how long it takes to get into a game, due to these subdivisions in the sortie mission types and MS points, and what he's talking about is like you can play, if you want to play a ranked match, there's not just one ranked match. There's I think always 4 going at once, and they have different cost levels. And so he's saying, which it causes the smaller player base to be even more divided. He's saying, so you're further dividing the player base. Quick match is different than custom match, is different than rating match, and then within all those matches, you have all these different subdivisions of, well, this game is only for cost 300 mobile suits. Another guy creates a game for only cost 400 mobile suits. Another guy for 650. Well, they're never going to play against each other. They can't be matched because their requirements are too strict. It's worsening the problem. It already takes you 10 minutes to get into a game, and you're allowing these people to subdivide all the games, which is fine if you have 100,000 players, 500,000 players, 1 million players at any given time, like a really big game. But we don't have that here, Isaac, and that's just exacerbating the problem.
There's faster games to play, and by that I mean you jump into the game.
Yeah.
You know, there's Counter-Strike, Battlefield, Apex Legends, Fortnite. This is just, it's too slow to be considered a modern game. And that's a tragedy.
All right, Isaac. So I'm going to give my final thoughts here, which is actually going to be probably more positive than everything we just said. So, because I do think it's a pretty good game. For positives, the mobile suit selection is incredible. Over 350. I didn't even think there were that many, but that's insane. That's an insane amount of mobile suits to put in one game, Isaac. That's ridiculous. Kudos to them. I think the gameplay is pretty good, even if it's a little too slow. In general, there's too much damage needed for a kill. You know, if a gym sniper shoots you with the gym sniper rifle, you should die. If you take a bazooka to the chest, you should die.
Yeah.
Because it's so slow. So I think if you're going to take the slowness, I need to have a reward for when I hit you. But overall, I'm actually okay with the slowness. I just think they either need to increase the damage a little bit, or they need to make me move a little faster and tone down the slowness. Negatives, network connectivity. Finding a game takes way too long. The UI is garbage. Should have been overhauled for the PC release at a minimum. Lack of team communication, disappointing, limiting. I hate gacha games for the most part. And everything is under a gacha here, Isaac. Mobile suits, weapons, parts, clothing. And it's very grindy to get what you need. All that said, that is pretty negative, but I think this is probably the best multiplayer Gundam game if you're looking for the true UC experience, Isaac, of fighting in the Universal Century. And you can't play Bonds Battlefield because you're not in Japan. So I think if you have the time, the patience, and friends, this is the game for you. If you don't, this is definitely not the game for you, or it'll be only an occasional play. I definitely understand why everyone was yelling at us to play this game, because I think it checks a lot of the boxes about what we asked for, but the execution is a little bit off. That just makes it quite not as enjoyable as I thought it would be. But that said, Isaac, I would still boot this up and play those co-op things with you when they come out. I think that would still be fun.
Yeah, it would, as we float around like beach whales trying to pull off a shot against some horrible mobile armor that they set out to just destroy us.
I'm going to give it 2 scores. So if it's just a normal game, like if I straight up compare this to like Counter-Strike or Battlefield, I'd say this is easily a 6 out of 10. But if I talk about it just as a Gundam game, I think it's closer to an 8 out of 10. But those are 2 very different scores, and you have to be a Gundam. I think being a Gundam fan goes a long way for this. It's kind of like watching Victory Gundam, Isaac. You get a lot more out of it if you're a Gundam fan, but if you're not, you're not gonna play it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll only give it 1 score, and this score is wholly based on my own experience, of course. I've already told you what I didn't like about it, which was a lot, and what I did like about it, which wasn't a lot. But before I give my score, I will say that if you enjoy this game, please keep playing it, because that just continues to show, numbers-wise, that there are fans that will play Gundam games. Hopefully they send us a better game than this one in a few years or so, but this is what we have for now. I'll give it 2 out of 5 Haros, and that's just almost exclusively on the UI, the menu system, and the game mechanics themselves. Because if those were fixed, even though it's got its own issues as like a third-person Gundam game, I feel like that could still work if those were taken care of. But it's not. Those aren't taken care of. And I think they're pretty insurmountable problems. So unless I get a text from Brian, hey, let's hop on, the Valvaro's the new boss, I probably won't be playing this to just sortie and do battle simulator. There'd be no point. Especially with the fact that my Dom won't even hover. It just plods along, which defeats the purpose. But I digress. So yeah, for me, 2 out of 5 Haros, and can't say this is not a home run.
Well, there you have it, listeners. Thank you for recommending this game to us. Again, I think this review is a little negative, but I think overall it's a decent game, and I definitely understand why everyone likes it. Patience is one of the things that Isaac is not his strong suit. So I think Isaac will scream every time he logs into this game and has to deal with the UI and the walking around. But I definitely understand why everyone likes it. And if I had more time in my life, Isaac, and I had a bunch of people to play this with, I think it would be super fun. And especially if I had started earlier. I kind of wish we had this when we were in high school, Isaac. That's obviously a different time. That's no longer now. So it is what it is. But to your point, I do hope those people who like this game continue to be vocal about it, continue to support the game. And with the hopes of next time they do make one, they will make it for more than the Japanese market, more than peer-to-peer connections. You know, they'll take a broader brush next time and give us, as Isaac said, a better version of this game in a few years, because I think it has a lot of potential. If I had to pick one project of like which one's the closest, I would pick this over Evolution every day.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you're a fan of this game, a frequent player, just comment. Tell us what you like the most about it. If you've played this game as a Gundam fan and hated it, please also leave a comment and say that, you tried it out, and then explain us what you thought and why you uninstalled or why you just never logged back in. Brian, is there anything you want to ask the listeners?
Yeah, I want them to tell us what their favorite suits are and what their favorite builds are, what custom parts they're using, what kind of play style they like. I want to know what everyone uses at every cost level. Like, give me some guidance, like if it's a 550 match, what are some suits I should be using? What are some I should be avoiding? That type of thing. All you GBO2 veterans.
Sounds pretty good. I just hope we get some good answers, and I'm really curious about picking the brains of the people that like this and seeing what we like match on with people that really didn't enjoy it. We'll
find out. All right, Isaac, take us away.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed, get on your knees, put your hands together, look up at the ceiling, and hail Xeon.
Good night, everyone.